So today we are working on creating a real, easy to fill out online fillable form. Now, the problem that I always see with fillable forms that are coming in from Word or even a PDF is that they're not easily fillable. That tends to be the problem, and this document is no different. So what I'm seeing here is somebody sent a credit card authorization form to purchase something, and apparently this is how they still do it. Super antiquated. We should be on Adobe Sign, DocuSign, or something nowadays, but people are still not using that. But so here we are. So this is a form they want me to fill out and send back to them. The only problem is it's not easy to fill out online, and I really don't want to have to print this, grab a pen, fill it out, sign it, scan it, and send it back. Hello, so yesterday, right? So let me show you what is going on here in this form. This form has some fillable form fields. Yes, click or tap here to enter text. So the problem is when I type or when I go to tab to the next fillable form, the problem is that it's not taking me to be able to type and then tab and go to the next fillable piece. Type, tab to the next fillable piece, and so on and so on, okay? So this is typically what I see is somebody was close, but they just didn't know how to use the legacy tools in the developer tab in Word. So I'm going to fix this because here right now, first of all, this document is not restricted. So I can type anywhere. I can change anything I want, which is probably not a good idea. Imagine if it was like divorce papers or like legal papers and medical and so forth, and you can go in and change anything and they might not know it. That would not be good, right? So you want to make sure that when you're creating a easily fillable form, that you are giving people the ability to type and tab, type and tab, type and tab. No need to pick up the mouse, right? Just type what they need to type, tab to the next fillable spot where they can then go ahead and fill that out, tab to the next, and so on and so on. So right here, what you're doing is putting your name here, then your billing address, phone, city, state, zip, email. Then you're checking a box. Which credit card am I using here? Then what's the name of the card, the account number, the expiration date? I know, right? This is so, who does this anymore? Anyway, and then the signature and the date. So this is not, if I tap my tab key, oh my God, oh my God, oh no. So all it's doing is it's adding more. So this is like a table. It's just adding more rows to that table. So I'm just undoing Control Z. Now, if I come up here and I type my name, right? Okay, yeah, that worked. But now I have to hit a space bar to get between my last name and the next word. So, and then I hit my tab key and it stays in that box. And it just does the typical default tab stops of every ½ inch, but I'm still in that text box and I don't want to be, and I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to pick up my mouse and then click here and type and then click here. A good fillable form, again, type, tab, right? So we are going to fix this. So what I'm going to do, let me undo. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to change this content control text form field to a legacy tool text form field. Okay. So what the first thing is that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that. Okay. Delete that. And in your developer tab, so if you guys do not see your developer tab, what you want to do is you want to right click on your tabs up at the top in your ribbon. And you want to go to customize the ribbon. When you left click on that, it's going to take you into your Word options menu. From there, it takes you to the customize ribbon menu. So what you see here, you've got a bunch of commands here that are more popular commands. And then over to the right, you have all of your tabs. Now, if you use the scroll bar to the box on the right and scroll up and down, you're going to see your home tab, insert tab, draw tab, right? You're going to see those tabs. And if you look up here, here they are. Now, you might not have the draw tab either, but while we're here, we'll turn that on as well. But check it out. If you go to the home tab and you hit that little arrow to drop down the home tab, you'll see your groups. So you have the clipboard group, the font group, paragraph group, styles group, right? So you'll see your different groups as well underneath each tab. Okay. What I want you to do is we're going to go to, scroll down a little bit, go to draw, go to developer. Those two tabs, if you do not have a check inside of those boxes, go ahead and left click inside those boxes and that'll put a check inside. Then, and not until you click OK, will you then see the draw and the developer tab up at the top. So go ahead, click OK. And voila, look at that. Go ahead and click on your developer tab. In your developer tab, this is where your macros are, guys. This is where your add-ins are and things like that as well. We have other videos on those things. But what we're talking about today is in your controls group. In your controls group, you do have two sides. You have your left side and your right side. So on the left side are your control check boxes and text form fields, legacy tools, date pickers, and things like that, right? So you have those things over here to the left and to the right. You have your design mode, properties, and groups. And we are going to use the properties for when we create our fillable form drop-down list, okay? So that's kind of cool too. I'll show you that today. All right. So in the controls group, what I'm trying to do is create a really good text form field where somebody could just type in their name and their middle initial. It's kind of free form, right? Numbers, letters, symbols, whatever they want to put, totally up to them, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the developer tab, controls group. You have your legacy tools. You're going to hit the drop down on legacy tools and you will see legacy forms. We are going to stay right here at the top. ActiveX controls, no touchy, okay? Do not touch those. What I did want to show you was you have a text form field. You have a checkbox form field, and you have a drop-down form field. However, you do also see some of those things up here outside of that legacy tools dropdown. You do have a checkbox right here, but it is a checkbox content control. It's not the same as the form field, okay? You also have a rich text content control, and then you also have a plain text content control. They work differently than your legacy tools, than your text form field, your checkbox form field, and your drop-down form field, okay? So then you also have up here, outside of the legacy tools, you have your combo box content control, and then you also have your drop-down list content control, because these work a little bit differently than being in your legacy tools. Your legacy tools, it really works much easier in your legacy tools because it gives you the capability of just inserting those form fields. And when you restrict editing, all you got to do is type tab, type tab, type tab to fill in those fields, to get to those fields, to fill those in and move on to the next field you need to fill in. So that's why we are spending most of our time in the legacy tools, but we will talk about the date picker as well. So your date picker content control will drop down a calendar actually, so you can click on the date. So it's kind of cool too. So these are in your developer tab, controls group, legacy tools. And what we're going to do is on the very first line where it says I and my name, authorize so-and-so to charge my credit card, I have to type in my name. So I'm going to the legacy tools. I'm going to add a text form field. And then I am going to hit my space bar because there was no space between that form field and the word authorize. So then I'm going to select that text form field. I'm going to Control C to copy that because now I'm going to come down to the billing address and I'm going to delete the click or tap here to enter text. That is a content control text box. I don't want that. So I'm going to paste next to billing. I'm going to remove the phone and I'm going to paste the text form field next to phone. Next to city, state, and zip, same thing. I'm going to make sure I got my punctuation there. Space is perfect. And then next to email, same thing. And paste. So I have all of these text form fields next to each of these items that somebody would need to fill out on this form, okay? Now, when I get next to Visa, MasterCard, right? The idea is pick one, right? So I can click inside and it will put an X inside of that box, okay? But the problem is when you turn on your restrict editing, you won't be able to tab to the next. It will right now, but it won't when you restrict the editing. We need to restrict the editing in order to be able for these fillable form fields to be filled out and nothing else. The whole name of the game, guys, here is that somebody that fills in this document can only edit the fillable form pieces, the text form fields, the checkboxes, the drop-down lists, and the date picker, okay? So right now, the way this is, I could actually just totally, completely remove that, right? And that should be a no-go. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to leave that there. And I'm going to show you how that works, just the way they did it. And so the checkbox that they used was this one. Okay, developer tab controls group was this checkbox right here, the checkbox content control, and that's not the one that I want to use. So, but I'll leave it there and I'll show you how that works. Now, what I am going to do is a drop-down list, and I'm actually going to have a drop-down list so somebody can choose which credit card type that they plan on using. Okay, so up here in your developer tab, controls group, legacy tools, and now I have the third one in under legacy forms is the drop down form field. I'm going to click on that, but it's not enough just to click on that because where's my drop down list? Where's the list? I have to create it, right? Okay. So while I'm still, you can kind of see my cursor still blinking. You can see it right here. You can see my cursor blinking in that box still. So while I'm still here, I'm going to go to, again, developer tab, controls group, but this time I'm going to the properties on the right side. I'm going to click on properties. From here, I am going to choose my list. So I'm just typing and entering. It's going to start creating my list. So Visa, enter, MasterCard, enter, Amex, enter, Discover, enter. Okay. And really that's all I need to do. If I wanted to reorder in the way that this list shows up, then I can click on one of these items and I can choose the up and down and it will go ahead and reorder the order in which these items show up on the list. Okay. So that is something you can do. And then by default, drop down enabled is automatically checked. Keep that checked. There's really nothing else you need to do here. Go ahead and click OK. Now, I click on this and I don't get a drop down arrow. Right, you won't until you start restricting editing. Okay, so hold that thought. Okay, so then card holder name. Okay, again, I'm going to take all this out and I'm going to paste that text form field again. And every time next to account number, put my little colon in there, and next to expiration date, and then next to the CVV number, that security code on the back, let me get rid of that and put my text form field there. And then I can come down here next to signature. I'm actually going to remove that. Somebody can actually just fill that in. All right. And then next to date, I am going to take that line out and I am going to add my date picker. So developer tab, controls group, second row on the left side. The last icon is your date picker content control. Go ahead and click on that. And you can actually use that right now. If you hit the drop down, that will give you a calendar. Isn't that cool? All right. So I am pretty good with the way that I have this laid out right now. But the problem is when somebody goes to fill this out, the ideal scenario is that they start here, type their name, then they tab. Okay. However, when I hit tab now, notice it didn't really, it actually removed that text form field. I'm going to Control Z to undo that. Okay. So that's not cool, right? So I want to make sure that I'm just able to type tab, and not be able to edit anywhere else on this document. So the first thing I'm going to need to do now, once I create my fillable form fields, the text form checkboxes and drop down list and the date picker, once I get everything all set exactly where I need it, now the magic begins. Now I can restrict editing. So in your developer tab, you have a protect group. Click on restrict editing and the panel on the right side will pop up. Now, this panel is going to ask you a couple of questions here. Number one, do you want to limit formatting to any selection of styles in this document? So if you were to check that box, basically that would mean that you don't want anybody reformatting your document, okay? Or in this case, it's limiting them to a different, like a specific selection of styles. This one I really don't care about. What I do care about is number two. So number two is the editing restrictions. So what exactly can someone, when you protect this document and you send it to somebody, what exactly are they able to do with it, right? So allow only this type of editing in the document. I'm going to check that box. And then underneath you have a drop down. That drop down list is giving you 4 options. You can allow tracking changes in this document. You can allow comments. You can allow filling in forms. Aha. And you can also allow no changes at all so that when somebody opens this document that you send to them, it is a read-only document. Okay. But in this case, what I want to do is I want to choose filling in forms. So yes, when I send this to somebody, the only thing they can do with this document is fill in the fillable pieces of this form. That's it. Okay, ready? I'm going to go ahead and start protection. Okay, then it's going to ask me if I want to password protect it. So unless you can remember your passwords, I would say that's a no-go. But a lot of times you'll see like your accountant, if they send you a document via email, tax document or whatever, they will password protect it. And then they will either text you or send a separate email, maybe to a different email address with what the password is. So that is wise to do. Typically, what is wiser to do is just secure a portal or, something like Dropbox or something like that where you're sharing securely. But as far as password goes, just be careful with password protecting documents. You don't have to, so it is optional. I'm just going to not put a password in there and I'm going to click OK. Now, let me close out of the restrict editing panel on the right side and notice I'm right here at the top next to the word I. And it wants me to start typing. Now, watch what happens when I tab. Boom, straight to my address, right? Boom, tab again, straight to my phone number, right? City, state, zip. I'm just going to do Boston. It's easier to type. And email, right? Well, that should be an @ sign, but email. So look how easy this is as I start tabbing. Tab, tab, tab. But watch when I get down here. I'm stuck on these boxes. I should be able to just hit my space bar, put an X in front of one of these boxes, inside one of these boxes, and tab to the next place, right? Tab to the next fillable piece. I'm tapping my tab key and nothing's happening. So the reason why is because whoever created this, they were close, but they created a content control checkbox. And that was really not what I wanted here. Okay. All right. So we're going to go back and fix that. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to drop down list that I created. And when I click on that, now there's the drop down. And now here's my choices, you guys. Check that out. Isn't that awesome? So I can make my choice and tab. And then my name, tab. Account number, tab. Expiration, tab. CVV, tab. And then it takes me down to the next form field after the CVV number, and that is the date picker. And so from there, I can hit the drop down, choose the date, call it a day. When I hit tab again, what it's going to do is take me back up to the beginning. So it will roll all the way through. Maybe it won't. It'll roll all the way through each text form field, checkbox, and drop down list and date picker, and it'll go all the way back from the beginning again. Now, this is a problem, okay? These checkboxes, not cool. I got to fix this, okay? It's not giving me the capability of just tabbing through each of these boxes to choose which credit card type that I want. So I need to stop protection and go fix this, okay? All right. So back up to the developer tab, restrict editing. You also have restrict editing in the review tab as well. You have a protect group there. So you may have seen this before in the review tab, restrict editing. So either way you go is fine. It doesn't matter which one. It'll take you back to the same place. So I am going to stop protection. Boom. Okay. So now's the time where I can go in and I can fix this. Okay. So I'm going to come back over here. And let me just replace that with a text form field again. And text form field's good. Date picker's good. Let me choose nothing here. Okay. And let me put another date picker in there. All right. And so far so good. Let me just zoom down a little bit so we can see this. Okay. So this looks pretty good. Now, one thing I need to do is make sure that these checkboxes are actual checkbox form field, okay? So I'm going to go do this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to get rid of these checkboxes. They shouldn't have that little border around them either, that little square. So I am going to remove those. I'm going to click on those three little dots and delete. Okay. And then I'm going to come up to my developer tab, controls group, legacy tools, and there is my checkbox form field. Just make sure I got a little space in there. Same thing with MasterCard. Let me delete that. And I can also come over here and copy that checkbox form field too if I want to, instead of having to keep going up to the ribbon. So Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Go to Amex, delete that, Control V to paste, because when you copy something, it will remember until you copy again, it will remember what you copied. So you can paste, 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 paste. Okay, so now I have my checkbox form fields, each credit card type. And then from there is my drop-down list. So I can come back to properties and I can say, okay, do I need to add another credit card type, or do I need to remove one, or what? Okay, so I'm good with them the way they are, but if I wanted to add or remove, I just add whatever it is I want to add and either enter or hit this add button, or click on one of the ones I want to remove and just hit the remove button. And then obviously you can reorder the order in which those items appear on the list. You can change the order. Drop down enabled, check, yep, and click OK. Okay, so now you can see this is perfect. So I have my date. Scrolling up, I got all my text form fields, and this is just going to give me freedom to type in these text form fields, whatever it is I need to type. It's not like you only have this much room. It will expand as you keep typing. So don't worry about how small the text form field looks. And you're like, man, I would never be able to fit my name in there. You're right, you probably wouldn't, but don't worry about it because it'll stretch as you keep typing. No worries. All right. Then you get your drop down list, you get your checkboxes, you get text form fields. Now, what I tend to do when I create fillable form, before I restrict the editing, is I go ahead and I click on the very first form field that somebody is going to go to as soon as they open the document. So obviously the very first thing on this document is where I need to type in my name. Okay, now I could also put a little title in here, but it's pretty obvious what this is that it's looking for me to put my name in there, and then the billing address, phone, city, state, zip, email, and so forth. Okay, now when I tab through these text form fields and checkboxes and things like that, it's not going to let me go anywhere else in this document. I'm not going to be able to change the title. I'm not going to be able to click the I. I'm not going to be able to do anything else but type inside of these text form fields, check inside these boxes, choose a drop down on the list, and pick a date. That's it. That's the only thing I'm going to be able to do once I restrict the editing. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the signature. Signature line. So if this was like DocuSign or Adobe Sign, which I will do a video on taking something like this, converting it into Adobe Sign, and then adding the fields, right? The text form field, the signature field, and things like that. So, and I'm sure you guys have all filled out an online fillable form before where it wasn't your actual signature, but it was like your name in calligraphy or whatever, and the date. Why those are legally binding documents is because what it does is it tracks the date, the time, and the IP address of the PC that you were on when you signed it. Okay, so it is a legally binding document, regardless of whether it's your actual signature or not. And that's the whole purpose of these DocuSigns and Adobe Signs and PandaDoc and all these other types that are out there now today. This company wants me, right? Because apparently they don't have that capability of the online fillable forms that they should, but they don't. So they sent me this Word document and they didn't have it formatted properly. I still have to print this out, sign it, scan it, and send it back, right? Because they don't have a signature DocuSign type of platform that they use. So from here, now I need to restrict the editing. The only thing I want to be able to do is just fill in the fillable pieces. So I'm going to come back over to the restrict editing panel. And if you closed yours out, go to the developer tab again, go to restrict editing, and it will turn it back on. And then step number 2, check the box where it says allow only this type of editing in this document and hit the drop down and choose filling in forms. Then yes, start protection, no password, click OK. As you can see, all I need to do is type tab. Notice it goes to the next fillable piece, right? That next text form field. Phone, city, state, zip, email, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover. Choose one, right? There's your drop down. Then it goes to cardholder name, account number, expiration date, CVV, date picker. Now, wouldn't it be great if this was a form, say it was your form, and this was a form you were constantly sending out to people to fill in? Wouldn't it be nice to create this as a template? So all you have to do is just keep sending this to people. And when they fill it out and you get it back, it's their information. But the next time you send this form, it doesn't have the previous customer's information on it. That would be bad, right? So you're sending the template. So we are going to create now a template. Now that this is perfect, we've got the fillable forms, everything is fillable, right? We've got it restricted. So there's no editing in anywhere else on this form other than those fillable pieces. Now's the time to save this as a template. So you ready? We're going to go up here. We're going to go to File. We're going to go to Save As. Okay. We're going to go to this PC. I will save it to my desktop. And I will put fillable. You can call it whatever you want. Okay. And I'm going to put the name template in it, just so I can remember that that's the template and not the document. Now, 3 things when you're saving. Look, this location, right? Where? Are you saving it on your hard drive? Are you saving it in your OneDrive? Are you saving it on SharePoint? So if you have a personal Microsoft account, you probably won't have SharePoint, but you probably will have a OneDrive option to save it in the cloud or on your hard drive, either way. Now, once you pick the location of where you want to save it, where in that location do you want to save it? What folder, right? So for me, I'm just going to drop this on my desktop for now to make it easier to find. And then what are you going to name it? And then what file type do you want to save it as? So I actually want to save this as a template because I want to be able to use this blank, fillable, easy to fill out form over and over again for the next customer and the next and the next. Okay. So I'm going to hit the drop down on where it says Word document. That is the default file type that the Word program would save a document as. And that's usually fine. Usually you don't have to worry about anything from there or change anything unless you want to save it as a PDF or unless you want to save it as a different file type like a template. So I'm going to hit the drop down here and you will see I have, an old file format, 97 to 2003. There's my Word template. There's my macro enabled template. There's my old file format template, PDF. So there's a lot of different file types here. I'm going to go straight to the Word template, DOTX. One thing I want you to notice before I click on that is notice that right now, if I hit save, it's going straight to the desktop. It's not in any subfolder on my desktop. It's just going to drop right on top of my desktop. However, when I change this to a file type as saving it as a Word template, watch what happens up here. Boom. Now it's like, oh, you're saving us as a template. So we're going to put it in the custom office templates folder. You cool with that? And yes, you are cool with that. And the reason why I say that is because when you go open a template, when you open Word and you need to go find a template, okay? Typically, you end up either in your home or your new screen, right? So if I go to new right now, I have office templates and personal. And that custom office templates folder is this. It's your personal template folder. So you can easily find your own personal templates right from here. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So if I'm in the office templates right now, and these are, some preset Microsoft templates, but if I go to personal, these are all mine. These are all mine that I've created. Cool, right? Okay, so then I can just choose it from here. I don't have to go find the folder that I saved it in and go try to find it. It's in the custom office templates. I'm going to leave it there. I'm cool with that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to save a copy. And again, I will keep it to save in the custom office templates. I'm going to give it a name, my on-demand credit card form fillable template. It is being saved as a template file format, DOTX, and I am good to go. Save that. All right. Now I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to close out of everything. I'm going to go to my file explorer and I'm going to go find that template. Now, remember I wanted to save it in the desktop, but it's not there. right? Because now it's in the custom office templates folder. So I could come here to documents, and in documents, you do have did you know this? You do have a subfolder called custom office templates. How cool is that? Right? So when I double click on that, boom, I will see it right there. It's right there on the top. Okay, on-demand credit card form fillable template. Okay, now here's what's going to happen. When I open this file, watch over here, this type file type, it is telling me it is a Word template as opposed to a Word document, which is, something that I've already filled out to test this. When I open this template, it's actually going to open as a document, not a template. The whole purpose, let me double click to open it. The whole purpose is that it opens up as a document. See this? Document 1. So I am not editing the template, guys. When I start filling this out, I'm not editing the template. It's creating a whole new document for me so that this customer can go in and fill out their information. And then I can save it, or not, right? Just sensitive information. I might want to shred that, but so right here, notice up here, it's saving as document 1. So if I were to send this to a customer, the first thing I would do is put their name on it, right? This Mr. and Mrs. Jones, credit card authorization form. Boom. Put it in a folder called Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Send it to them. And all they need to do when they open it is type tab, type tab, type tab. How beautiful is that? They don't have to worry about anything. And they can use their mouse to click inside this box. This is a restricted document right now. Now, unless they know how to unrestrict, right, or stop protection, then they will not be able to click in. Look, I'm trying to click inside up here, and I can click there, right? But I can't click. Notice how it just did that. I cannot click up here and start typing at all. It will not let me. So where it's typing is right here. Okay, and that's true because that's what we want, right? We don't want them editing any other part of this document. It's the whole point of restricting the editing to fillable form only, okay? So then that customer types in their information, they click save, they send it back to you. All they got to do, type tab, type tab. How beautiful is that, right? So it's a huge time saver. It's a huge headache saver, I will say, because there's nothing worse than getting a fillable form that isn't fillable. Just remember your developer tab, okay? Your controls group, your legacy tools. You've got your text form field, your checkbox form field, and your drop-down form field. And then we also used the date picker right here. And then the key component to all of this working, to being able to just type, tab, hit the drop-down, pick one, hit the drop-down on the calendar, pick a date, was restricting the editing. Otherwise, this is all for naught. It will not work until you restrict editing. So keep that in mind, guys. I hope that was helpful. Thanks, and have an awesome day.